Good morning, Alpha 40 fans. Welcome to my monthly deck tech and discussion video for May 2025. In today's video, I'm going to recap the deck I played in the monthly online league last month. I'll let you know how the matches went, and then I'm going to make some upgrades and improvements to this deck for future Alpha 40 matches. The fun twist today, though, stay tuned. I'm going to brew an unrestricted, non-tournament legal Alpha 40 deck using all of the Alpha cards in my collection. Very reminiscent of the early days of Alpha 40 back in 2018, 2019 when they had like the Wizards tournament and NoobCon, where players were not limited to any number of copies of Alpha cards that they could play in their decks. These were just some of the most powerful decks that you could make out of Alpha 40. So I'm going to try to build one with the cards in my collection today after we talk about the deck I played last month. Those of you who saw my deck tech last month will know that I played a red-white Black Vice deck using 12 basic mountains plus 1 plateau and 2 basic plains, which was 15 land sources. That's 1 fewer land than I normally play in Alpha 40, but since this was a mostly mono red deck, I thought I could get away with 1 fewer land, which was true in most cases. I did get together with some friends at Star City Games Minneapolis a couple weeks ago and play tested this deck in person. We played about 6 matches. I found that this deck won about 50% of the time, 50 or 60% of the time, which I thought would have been good enough for the monthly league, and it was just fun to pilot. So whether it lost or won the matches, it was a lot of fun. Very explosive deck, as you'll see when we fan out the rest of these cards for the recap. The spells, I ran 3 lightning bolts for direct damage. I ran 1 copy of Fork, which is restricted to 1 copy. I ran 3 fireballs for more direct damage and creature removal, and 3 disintegrates, which work really great for getting creatures out of the game entirely. I also ran 3 copies of Stone Rain, which is moderated to 3 copies for mana disruption, 1 copy of Mana Flare, which is a rare card, and a single copy of Wheel of Fortune as the power card. This is great for card draw as well. For the artifacts, I ran an Iron Star for gain life. You're limited to 1 of the 6 charms. I ran 3 copies of Black Vice, which is moderated to 3 copies. I ran 1 Soul Ring, which is part of the mana group, fast mana. So I played that in the fast mana pool. I ran 1 copy of Howling Mine as the draw card. 1 copy of Chaos Orb, which is the destruction group. You can only play this or Balance or Wrath of God. But I use this to flip onto my opponent's permanents. I had 1 copy of Basalt Monolith for mana ramp, and 2 copies of Disenchant for artifact or enchantment removal. In my first match, I lost to a mono black player who had a really slick deck. I lost to some Hypnotic Specters and Cursed Lands. I just was not able to get Disenchant out in time in the first game. He overpowered me with Sengir Vampires and multiple Black Knights. The second game of that match, I was able to pick up the win using a Fireball for 9, thanks to the Mana Flare, which helped double the mana produced by my lands. And in the third game of that match, I ultimately lost a very epic back and forth battle. He hit me with Drain Lives a couple turns in a row, and I was just drawing lands. I kind of got flooded with the mountains and the plains. So even though I was short 1 land, I was still kind of flooded. So I still think 15 lands is great for this deck. In my second match, I lost to what I thought was a mono-red Goblins deck. He had a lot of Mons Goblin Raiders and Goblin Balloon Brigades that he was casting several each turn. I was able to get Mana Flare out early, and then he surprised me with a Gauntlet of Might, which means all of our mountains produce 3 red mana, which is kind of crazy. He had some interesting creatures like the 2-headed giant and an artifact disrupting Scepter. When I ran out of cards and he disrupted Sceptered me, you have to remove a permanent. So I was trying to discarding some lands at the time. I luckily had an Iron Star in play the first game. When I was able to bolt his Goblin Balloon Brigade, I was able to gain 17 life because of all the mountains that were tapped for 3 mana with the Mana Flare and his Gauntlet of Might. But ultimately, he did finish me off with all of his creatures. So we went to the second game of the match, which he also won in a very epic back and forth battle. He surprised me on his first turn. He played a Mox Ruby and an island. I didn't know he had blue in the deck. So then on the second turn, he played a Ancestral Recall, drew some cards, played some more Goblin Balloon Brigades and Mons Goblin Raiders. Um, I tried to keep up with the Iron Star again, but then he was able to shatter the Iron Star. I cast the Howling Mine, which was really great. We were both drawing cards. He had a bunch of small creatures out, which I used all my fireballs on to get rid of his small creatures. And then he had a Disrupting Scepter again. And then at one point, I had one card in my hand. I had the Wheel of Fortune, which he disrupted, sceptered, and I had to discard my Wheel of Fortune. That was really um, a cool play that on his part that really helped give him the advantage in that game. He had some Jade statues out. I was able to gain 15 life off the Iron Star when I cast a Stone Rain, but ultimately he had the two-headed giant, a couple Juggernauts on his side, and then after he shattered my Iron Star, I couldn't gain life to stay in it, and then he finished me off with Granite Gargoyle, and that was it. I had a lot of fun in May playing this deck. It did not make it to the finals, so I thought I would brew a brand new Alpha 40 deck using all of the Alpha 40 cards in my collection. I'm going to throw out the banned and restricted list, and I'm going to try to build the most powerful deck for you today on the channel. I'm going to go back to the basics. From the power group, you could play Time Twister, Wheel of Fortune, Fast Bond, Time Vault are kind of all the cards that you're restricted to one of only. If you play Ancestral Recall, you can play that or your draw spell. So if you have Ancestral Recall, you can only play Ancestral Recall and not Howling Mine or Brain Geyser. So here is my brew for, I guess, June. I won't play this unrestricted deck in the league, but I'll have it on the side in case I want to play some games at like MagicCon Las Vegas. Starting with the power group, I'm going to go back to the original Time Twister. In this deck, it's going to be a blue-red 5-color good stuff deck. I'm also going to include one copy of Wheel of Fortune. Normally, you're only allowed to include either of these cards, but in this deck, I'm going to include both. And then I'll include in the draw group, I'm going to go with Brain Geyser on the blue side. Let's do Brain Geyser. Demonic Tutor is a black card, but that's one of the draw spells, as is Howling Mine, another draw spell. We're going to include that one. And Jayemdae Tome is the last draw card. Jayemdae Tome is also going into the deck. And Regrowth. Put in Regrowth too. So we're going to use all 5 draw cards. Brain Geyser, Demonic Tutor, Howling Mine, Jayemdae Tome, and Regrowth. For the fast mana group, I'm going to keep Soul Ring in the deck. If I had Black Lotus or any of the Moxes or Mana Vault, I would include those as well, but we're going to keep the Soul Ring in the deck, and then we're going to go to the restricted cards that you're only allowed one copy of. We're going to include one copy of Fork, which is really good. We're going to include one copy of Copy Artifact. We're going to include the Mana Short, which is restricted to 1. We're going to include the Channel, which is restricted to 1 for the Channel Fireball combo. We're going to include the Balance, which is one of the destruction cards. We're also going to include the Chaos Orb as another destruction card. So we'll have 2 of the Destructo cards in this deck. I'll get to the lands in a second. We're going to include Black Vice. This is normally restricted to 3 copies, but we are going to, it's moderated, so we're going to add a 4th Black Vice to this deck and really rely on just drawing cards. We're going to tutor for the cards we need so that we can get Black Vice out early. We're going to tutor to find Time Twister or Wheel of Fortune so that we put our opponent on 7 cards and let them look at 3, possibly 4 or 5 black vices with the copy artifact. We're also going to include some other cards that are on the moderated list. We're going to include 1 copy of Psionic Blast, 1 copy of Lightning Bolt. Those are both restricted to 3 copies, but we'll include those because they're very powerful. Then Dark Ritual for mana ramp. We're going to include 1 copy of all 9 dual lands. These are all restricted to 1 copy. We have Underground Sea, Bayou, Taiga, Tropical Island, Badlands, Tundra, Savanna, Scrubland, and a Plateau. So since it is a 5-color deck, we're going to do all 9 of the dual lands. Here's the Plateau. We will include 1 Fireball for the Channel Fireball combo, 1 Disintegrate for the Channel Disintegrate combo, a Disenchant to get rid of their black vices if they have black vices. And then we're going to round out the mana base. We're going to add 3 basic islands for the blue spells, 3 basic mountains for the red spells, and a forest just to get the Channel Fireball combo in play. So that's 40 cards. Let me shuffle up real quick and do a goldfish and see how powerful this deck is. Give this deck a shuffle. This will be a 5-color, good stuff, Vice Draw Engine deck for Alpha 40, not tournament legal. Just for fun, we'll see how powerful this deck is. Cut into 3 piles. Maybe we do 1 on top of 2 on top of 3. Roll the die. We go first. We'll draw 7 cards. In Alpha 40, we will look at the 8th card. We have Underground Sea, Wheel of Fortune, Dark Ritual, 3 Black Vices, Badlands, and a Soul Ring. We're going to keep that. We'll start by playing a Underground Sea into a Soul Ring. We'll play 2 Black Vices and pass the turn with 4 cards. They'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. Pass it back to me. We got a Time Twister looking good. We're going to play a land. We're going to play a Badlands. Tap the Badlands for a Black Vice. We'll pass it to the opponent. They're going to take 2, 4, 6 down to 8. Pass it back to me. We got another Black Vice. We could also Wheel of Fortune, but we have the Time Twister. So we're going to tap a black Badlands. We'll play a 4th Black Vice. They'll take, let's say, 4 damage down to 4. Pass it back to me. Brain Geyser, which we could make them draw a bunch of cards. Several options here. I think we could just do that. We'll tap Underground Sea for black. We'll tap Dark Ritual. They're probably under Vice by now. We need 2 blue for the Brain Geyser. So we're behind on mana. So I guess we would Wheel of Fortune, tap a Badlands for red, use 2 of the black and a Wheel of Fortune, discarding Time Twister and Brain Geyser, drawing 7 new cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Play a land, we'll play a Tropical Island. They have 7. I'll tap Tropical Island for blue. I'll use the other black mana. I'll copy Artifact. The Black Vice, they're looking at 5 Black Vices. I am tapped out. I think I'll just tap the Soul Ring and cast a Howling Mine. And I'll say go. They're going to have 7 cards, so they're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 damage off the 5 Vices. That is going to do it in short order for this blue-red 5-color draw Vice deck. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you play this deck at the Alpha 40 tournament in Gothenburg, Sweden? Stay tuned for more Magic the Gathering content. Like, subscribe, follow for more. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.